Go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, this is Double RPG here, and we're doing a first impressions stream that I'm doing here on my Double RPG Twitch account, and I have a special guest joining me to see how the game is and what our first impressions are. And joining me is my good friend and co-host of the Game Riffers, 16-Bit Jeff.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem. I hope I don't. I hope this goes well for the best of us, and I hope I don't ensue you to just atrocity
don't
or
worry.
whatever.
It's not going to be you. It's most likely going to be this game that's going to be an atrocity from what I've heard.
But from what I heard, I've been hearing half the people saying it's good, while half of them saying it's bad. But I'm thinking mostly the bad is coming from the Sonic
Well, you
fanboys.
think? But at the same time, I did see right before you went on air, I did see that there was a big glitch in regards to one of Knuckles' abilities that you can actually cut the half of the game's time to under an hour. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I do think it was a bad idea of what the developers they went with.
Yeah, but we'll just have to see how well it plays. So, are you ready to get started?
But what I'm feeling from going before we get into the games, both the Wii U and 3DS version, you know how people felt mixed about the last Sonic game, which was Sonic Lost World for 3DS and the Wii U, that the Wii U was a better version and 3DS was underwhelming?
Yes. You think it's more the complete opposite for this one? Oh, okay. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, yes, we're going to be playing through, I think, the first hour of the game, or at least the first 30 minutes in between, and then we'll see where we stop from there, and then we'll switch to a different game after that. So, the first game we're going to check out is Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric on the Wii U. So, let's go ahead and get started.
Well, and I can say from past experience with Shattered Crystal for the 3DS, even though it was a short demo, I like what they utilized on the 3DS and what I've seen from previews of the Wii U version.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm not against the combat. The combat looks solid to me. It's just, it feels something is off, and I think it's the CryEngine itself.
Yeah.
Because while it looks great on Wii U, I don't think it was really optimized for the system.
They just didn't optimize it long enough.
Yeah, and besides, this is Sega we're talking about. Sonic is a annualized franchise for them, so I do feel like that they rushed the game. Not the developer, but the publisher.
Yeah, probably.
I can tell you one thing, from what I've been hearing from, some cutscenes and previews of the game, if there's one thing I gotta give credit to Rise of Lyric, whoever did the soundtrack did a phenomenal job.
It's Richard Jock, the guy who worked on the soundtrack for Sonic
Really?
R.
Because the reason why I'm bringing this up, because it's kind of ironic that how many of ex-members from Naughty Dog from the PS2 era of their creations are part of Big Red Button. That reminds me a lot of the PS2 era of Naughty Dog, with regards to the soundtrack to Rise of the Lyric, which is podcast.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as we take a look at the opening scene here, it's not much, but we're just getting a good glimpse of like the vast jungles or whatever that we're going to traverse ourselves into, and it doesn't look. It kind of looks more like a. It kind of gives me a Jack and Daxter vibe.
The art design definitely does.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there's any opening intro movie if we just leave it by itself, so we're just going to go ahead and hit the start button right now. And we get started with file select. Oh, that's pretty cool.
I feel like...
And there's a story mode, there's a team challenges, QNC database, as well as a Nintendo 3DS Connect. I wonder if that's for, like, kind of like what they did with Sonic Lost World, where you have the Tails gadgets or whatever helping you in the game.
Yeah, because if you look back on the back of the box covers for both games, they do say that they're interconnected with one another, and you can unlock secrets for one version and vice versa for the other if you play both. Yeah, so we don't know what the secrets are, but that's what's entitled on the back of the boxes for both games. But I gotta say, like, I think the problem was it's not that this is the first Sonic game in a very long time. Well, Sonic games in a very long time that's developed by a Western studio. Because people tend to forget that the first two, the Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 were developed by, granted, yes, Sega in-house, but they were developed by the American branch.
Okay. Hey, hold on just a second. I'm gonna fix some settings here on the Elgato.
Time, dude.
Encoding settings. Probably should put it to at least 2,000. Maybe that'll give it better. I'm just trying to get a more stable encoding rate because it doesn't seem like my PC's powerful enough to have the better encoding or whatever. So maybe that'll work.
Yeah. But
maybe it'll work for the Wii U at this point right now. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started right now with the story mode.
But my feeling is the reason why it's getting lackluster to negative reviews on the Sonic fan base is because, like with everything, I think it was a bad idea that they made it a tie-in to the game. I mean, to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it should have been its own thing, to be honest. Both versions.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't even seen
the pilot episode.
Dane, our good buddy, Dane, told us he told me a lot of good things about the cartoon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you, Knuckles. You did show off some sad emotion there, even though you're pretty rude. And kind of narcissistic in a sense.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, flashback.
Oh, flashback.
Of course. The biggest tropes in regards to gaming, in mid-race.
Although, I gotta give credit that they reused the same voiceovers of the Sonic games ever since Sonic Colors, so that I really like.
I think, because you gotta admit, like, I think that would piss a lot of people off to use a different cast.
Well, they actually did switch the voice for Tails, so it's not Kate Higgins voicing the character anymore. It's actually Colleen Saganesi or whatever, who played Ino Yamanaka from Naruto and Gina Sage from Tales of Symphonia.
Well, yeah, I know her. She, I was first introduced to her,
she was
Digimon,
Sora in
season
Digimon, right?
1 and 2. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't know she's voicing Tails now. I really couldn't tell the difference, to be honest, when I saw the preview.
Oh no, they're pretty good.
And that's that's nothing against the respective voice actresses we were talking about. It's just good to see that, it was unnoticeable until you just told me.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now from seeing it, like from its native console, it's a beautiful looking game. But I feel like that the problem is, I think it is CryEngine itself with all the issues and bugs.
Yeah, I believe there's going to be a patch coming up pretty quickly from Big Red Button on this.
Because personally, I don't think it was the developer itself. I think the problem was, I don't think the developer.
It was
not
Sega.
That, but I think I don't think the developer had enough experience with CryEngine. It could be a lot of things in regards to the engine, I'm saying. I don't think it's the developer or the team consistent of the inside the developer with their quality itself. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to admit, even if they did have, if there was something they didn't have experience with, it's a good learning lesson
of
for
course. I'm not saying that's not. It is, but it's a shame with their first big game that this happened.
Right. So far, it doesn't look too bad for a Sonic game. So, I guess we're going to be introduced to the combat mechanics in this game now. Which I think that really kind of shocked a lot of people, that there's combat mechanics in the vein of, Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot, considering that's made by, past developers of those games.
It didn't bother me, because I did like that it took influence from that series that you just mentioned, because, it was basic, but it had a nice flow to it, you know what I mean? And from the combat I'm seeing right now, it has that same feel. Yes, it's basic, but it has that nice easy flow that you feel inside in regards to a combat, especially with a third-person action adventure game.
Yeah, you can do evade tactics in this game. That's nice. So you just have to press the right or left shoulder buttons to do that.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Sonic, interesting enough, there was actually a rumor going around about the supposed name of the upcoming Sonic title from Sonic Team next year. If I recall correctly, it's codenamed Sonic Runners. Apparently, someone, either Big Red Button or Sensor or someone from inside Sega, had it inside. Basically, was an inside source of either 3 companies, saying that that's the codename of the game, and apparently that Sonic is going to have a change in his attitude, going back more to it being based off of his Sonic Adventure 1-2 self.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
I do feel like the next game will be Sonic Adventure related. I can't say it's Sonic Adventure 3, but I do feel like it would have some feel of structure to it due to the fact that I don't know about you, dude, but there's been a lot of hinting from Sega through recent merchandising in regards to the characters of not only this year but last year too.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind.
I just hope they get back on the right track financially. So I guess the rings act as a life bar or something in this game. That because I notice I'm at 100 and I'm not getting any extra lives. Then again, it doesn't look like extra lives is something to worry about for a game like this.
Which I'm surprised you're seeing more of these days, that they're getting rid of lives in general. Because in some ways, I think it's good, and it's really 50-50.
Yeah, it is 50-50. Okay. Glad to know you can double jump in this game. Looks like there's going to be a good amount of platforming that's going to be had. Although I'm kind of not a big fan of the rings showing you the way, and it does look extremely linear from what is shown.
Like, it feels like it's real hold-handy. Like, it's showing, like, yeah, this is where you go. It's just like, come on. Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. But from you...
Hey, even if this is a bad game, this is another bad game I can review for next year.
Of course.
Hey, I want to be diversified with my content. I feel like I've been doing too many
good
reviews.
And to be fair, like, I don't see it as a bad game. I see it as another mediocre game. Not a mediocre Sonic game, but just a mediocre game in general.
Hey, you can spin dash in this game. Nice. Something we haven't seen for quite some time. Even though you could do it in Sonic Lost World, but it actually made you go faster.
And that's what I was going to bring up. Since you've been controlling Sonic for a little while, comparing this incarnation to Lost World, how do you feel about the controls? So far, basically.
Yeah, I would say that the controls in Lost World are actually a lot better than this. Because the controls felt a lot tighter in that game than this. Because you made really sharp turns when you were running in that.
I can see what you're talking about, because it does look like it's a little bit more floatier, if that makes sense, in this game.
Yeah, it is.
It looks uneven. Floatier. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that is a bad thing, because sometimes floaty mechanics, and especially in regards to jumping, could be it is a positive, but it's just like feels something like it's off in regards to the movement of the character in this.
Yeah. Even though I wish there could have been more momentum right after you made your jump, but then again, that's just a minor annoyance that I have with this. Well, in terms of the platforming.
I got where you're coming from, dude.
I mean, it's a good idea, but it just, like you said, it just doesn't feel like it's fully fleshed out. But then again, that could be because it's probably Sega's fault. And I heard from IGN that they did not get a review copy of Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric or Shattered Crystal from Sega right before the game was supposed to officially come out, so that has me worried a little bit.
But Ubisoft recently did a similar thing with Assassin's Creed Unity in regards to their embargoes.
Yeah, and not only that, I've actually heard that that Assassin's Creed Rogue on the PS3 and the 360 actually did better in scores than Unity.
I'm still ticked off about that fact. It's like, okay, I can believe... I know this sounds like I'm a broken record, but it's the truth. I can believe that Unity couldn't run on the Wii U, but you cannot tell me that Rogue couldn't.
Yeah. Honestly, if there's any way that they're going to counter that, then they need to make their own game for exclusive for the Wii U and not just make it multi-platform, which most third parties have been doing. If they're not going to make their multi-platform games for the Wii U, then they should make an exclusive for it to satisfy people, because that's the only way you're going to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciate all sides of the competition.
I definitely get where you're coming from. The thing I was really surprised to read courtesy of Digital Foundry was apparently, granted, there's a lot of uneven things with the Assassin's Creed Unity. Apparently, comparing both to the Xbox One and PS4 versions, it looks like the Xbox One version is the superior version compared to PS4, because apparently, like I just mentioned about CryEngine being unoptimized in this game, the same thing happened with what Ubisoft did with the PS4 version of Unity. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. That's terrible.
And this is why I go back to saying, like, you know how people thought both Sony and Microsoft were making Ubisoft, pressuring Ubisoft to make their PC games as equivalent to their console games?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just Ubisoft being lazy. It's the same thing with Activision, just being lazy because they'd rather care more about the financial stake than the quality of the game itself. In other words, quantity over quality.
Yeah. Yeah, and I recently saw a video from BearHugger29 about this, and he pretty much echoed the same thing what we've been saying about Ubisoft when it came to Unity's release.
Like, here's the thing, I'll make the exception with Assassin's Creed Unity, because here's the thing. If there's one thing I love about Assassin's Creed, I love that it's backed up by actual lore of American historic American moments, or just historic events in world history. More importantly, I like the fact for the first time you actually see a game that takes place during the French Revolutionary War.
Yeah. If there's one thing I actually like about this game, you're not fully restricted to just egg bots. Because that seemed to be like a common thing with the... That seemed to be like a common thing for Sonic games since, I think, Sonic Heroes, is that most of the robots that Eggman had with him were the egg bots and not a lot of Bandicks.
None of that, but there's one thing I like about this, and I know a lot of people were pissy about this since day one when the renders were revealed. I like that each character of the main cast has their own unique personality.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually surprised that Metal Sonic's in this game.
See, that's the problem that I have with this off the bat. It's just like, I don't know if they've done this on the show, but it's just, they couldn't explain like how Metal Sonic is in this game, how they got to there to begin with. There's no explanation. It's just thrown as like, oh, it's tied to the show. People won't matter.
Oh, hey. And there's Shadow in the distance. The cliched anti-hero. Just as Gaijin Goomba said, and I
wish he
agree
stayed
with him.
dead. I wish he died in Sonic Adventure 2. It's not it's not that I hate the character, it's just like what you just said. I hate the fact he's become another trope, not only in the Sonic series, but just video game lore in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it looks like we're going to get in a little bit more on the platforming for all sides of the
Which is good. This is how I feel like that this is a good tutorial in regards to showcasing all the characters' unique abilities, basically. And if there's one thing I'm hoping, like how you said about Sonic, I hope that's only related to Sonic, not every character of how that particular character feels in regards to controlling, you know what I mean?
if that was one thing I actually liked about the Sonic games back then, is that especially when it came to Sonic, what was the Sonic Adventure series, is that each character had their own gameplay elements that actually made them very appealing.
Exactly.
Because it's just nowadays, it's just like, when it comes to Sonic, everybody just wants to play as the Blue Hedgehog, and it's like, I'm okay with that, but seriously, I mean, even though Sonic's the main character, it can get kind of stagnant if you play in that same...
It becomes repetitious, I get what you're saying,
time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Like, I would call myself a fan, but I'm not a die-hard fanboy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'll say this, was I disappointed with Lost World? Yes, but I appreciate what Sonic Team tried to do, and try to change up the aesthetics of, I wouldn't say the character, but just the series overall. But to me, it didn't work, but I can see if implemented right for, like, say, a potential sequel, if they would ever want to do one for Nintendo, I could see it working better, you know what I mean?
Right. Although, if I gotta give Sega credit on something, they're really trying to market this game. At the end of every episode of Sonic Boom, they're marketing this. They're, putting out a trailer or whatever. Tell kids, hey, go buy this game while you're at it if you want more Sonic Boom action.
Oh, so we're going back to the 90s mentality of marketing now?
Sure.
That's the thing. That's one thing I'm hoping that Nintendo's looking at in regards to the success of this game. Not the game, but its CGI animated counterpart. Is that if this show does really well with the kids, I'm hoping that they realize that we should get back into animation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I really hope they do.
I know you want to said that early this year in regards to. Not one of the recent, but one of their investor meetings that they are talking not only to third parties in regards to gaming, but just media in general. I am hoping and praying that they not only go back to animation, but also they decide to make a freaking movie based on one of their IPs.
Do one on Zelda. I mean, if the whole thing with Imagi, or, the studio that made the Ninja Turtles movie in 2007, even though they're defunct, bring something like that back into the mix.
That's the thing, too. Like, unlike Mario, which I do feel like, as much as I love the 93 live-action film for what it is, I will definitely say that Mario works better in animation, whether 3D, CGI, or hand-drawn. However, with Zelda and Metroid, it can work either way.
Oh, yeah,
like, if you want a Twilight Princess-esque, dark, live-action tale, there's two people I can think of that will work beautifully. Ridley Scott or Peter Jackson. And it's a shame, too, because I don't get why. And the irony is that 10 years ago, there was in plans of a live-action Metroid movie from Nintendo that was going to be, it wasn't going to be sponsored, but it was going to have some... It was, Nintendo was behind it, but the director was going to be John Woo. I wish that happened.
Oh, the Zelda
Metroid
movie? Or Metroid movie? Oh, yeah.
Because I can see Metroid working.
How would you... If John Woo was at the helm?
Just a Metroid movie in general, I can see working. That's the problem with not only Hollywood, but these Hollywood film studios in regards to a video game live, not only live action, but also video game to film adaptations in general. They don't realize that there are some adaptations that can work wonderfully, and ones that can't. It's like the same thing with comic books, or just any type of media that's going to be adapted into a film.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. It's just like going back to Sonic. It's just like, how do you feel that there's going to not only be a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but it's going to be a hybrid with live action and CGI?
Well, they did take it. Well, it seems like they've taken inspiration from Eddie LeBron, but realistically, that just kind of seems. I don't know. I wonder how they can actually pull that off, to be honest.
Hey, here's the thing. Like, I'm glad that they're getting the same CGI studio that has done the awesome, CGI opening movies like what you've seen with Sonic Unleashed. And I know they can do really good rendering with the characters like Dr. Eggman, Tails, Sonic, and his other friends. Here's the problem: we've seen this abomination before with the Smurfs, and look how that turned out. That's the problem. It's just like I can see it working in Dr. Eggman but here's the thing: if they were gonna do that thing like they did with Gargamel with the live action movie and change him from a hand-drawn animation into a real-life actor, of all people, voiced by the same guy, the same actor who does the voice of Mo on Simpsons. I'm hoping that they do the same thing, but at least have the voice actor of Eggman from the games play the role of the live-action counterpart. I'm saying, if they're going to go that route.
Oh God, yes, they need to. Because Mike Pollux is a damn good voice for Eggman. Worthy successor to Dean Bristow, and God rest his soul, since he passed away in 2005.
Yeah, because the last game he did was Sonic Heroes. Yeah.
Yes. That was like the perfect voice for Eggman because he sounded Russian. Because, his name was Ivo Robotnik in the American serialization of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know that. I knew that, but
so it kind of made sense.
Yeah, it did. Like the same thing with Dr. Wily from Mega Man, based on a German stereotype. And not stereotype, more trope of German and scientist. But
oh wow, we're doing looks like they're doing a tutorial on all the characters. So it's like we're replaying that same segment 4 times.
Well, in this scenario, it makes sense. But this is where the game should have started instead of where it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I was going back to, I mean it's cool, but it's just like I remember like earlier this year when I saw it, I was like, you know what, Sega, you're dead to me because you're doing this. Like I see a disaster of epic proportions waiting to happen. To be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to be optimistic, but we've seen this incident before with Sony with the Smurfs, and that didn't turn out well. That turned out horribly. I actually did well, but... correctly?
No. It's kind of sad that cartoons we grew up with are just not doing well in different mediums, like... like the Smurfs, for example.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, Michael Bay has screwed up a lot of films. I wouldn't say he has ruined childhoods because I think that is freaking childish.
Right.
But he has, I don't want to say ruined, but I feel like that I can see where people are coming from with his ideal of filmmaking. It doesn't fit with the project he works on, I'm saying.
No.
That being said, I would gladly take what he has done with. I would gladly take what he did with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles than what we got with him with with Transformers.
MC Mikey.
Like I think. I mean, I'm being frankly honest. I think that movie was way better than what Michael Bay has done with the Transformers franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the main four look.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. That's
you gotta be quick for that, unless if they're coming back. Oh, they are.
Yeah, but even then, that's like a very short reaction time too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta be really quick.
But going back to what I was saying, it's just like the main four of the Turtles looked weird, especially the worst was Splinter. But besides that, they still had the same qualities that people became fond of the characters. You know what I mean? Right. They still felt like they're animated counterparts. And if there's one thing I did like, I liked that it was a nice mixture of not only the 1980 cartoon, but also a little bit of a homage to both the 1990 movie and the Mirage comics.
Is it just me, or did Splinter look more Chinese than Japanese in that movie?
I know. He looked something. I can tell you that. He looked something, and that was a nightmare. And it's nothing against the voice actor, because I gotta say, the voice actors that they picked, I thought Tony Shalhoub did a very good job as Splinter.
Oh yeah, I like the voice, but I just wasn't in big favor of the
look and design. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, but here's the thing: hopefully they'll redesign that. They'll redesign only the Turtles with Splinter for the next movie. And I think while the first one was an all-right success, I'm hoping that the sequel is better.
Oh, I hope so too. Which aren't they bringing Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady for the sequel?
Apparently, yeah. Apparently,
I think I heard that. Oh, hey, look what I can do with Knuckles again. I can climb walls and kind of hang on them too, just like I could in the
yeah. Because last time that ability was used was in Sonic Heroes, right?
Yeah. Even though I kind of did like the ability where you can actually take your partners and make them like boxing gloves for more power. I thought that was an awesome mechanic.
You know, I really wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to Sonic Heroes.
Oh, you're not the only one,
name,
dude.
But just like the mechanics make a return from Sonic Heroes. You know what I
mean? You're not the only one, dude. I want to see a sequel to that game sometime, too, because I felt that was definitely one of the most underrated Sonic games.
But I'm gonna be honest, that was the last Sonic game I actually enjoyed. Because after that, we got Shadow Hedgehog, and we got freaking Sonic 06. Sonic Unleashed was a proper return to the franchise. Well, a lot, because like, the main people didn't like it, so the Werehog, which doesn't make any freaking sense.
Well, yeah, it didn't make any sense, but...
No, I'm talking about the fan base saying, like, oh, we don't like it because it's action-based. It's like, okay.
Okay, and when Knuckles was in the game, that wasn't action-based?
Like, the only matters because Sonic is only speed-based. What do you call him? Bopping on his enemies.
No,
that's action. That's combat in some regards.
And not only that, but Sonic was also more about platforming, too.
I gotta tell you, if there's one thing
it's like everything's...
man. Sorry, it's the lag on my end, you know what I mean?
I know, but it's like, they just only care about one thing, but they just don't acknowledge what else made it great to begin with. That's sad.
That's the thing, and I think this will hopefully please fans if Sega did this. Just make Sonic into a separate franchise. One that is full-on 3D, the other that's full-on 2D platforming. There you go. Base of 2D platforming on some of the Sonic, like, say, Sega Master System games. And the full-fledged 3D games, best way to do it? Make a return to Sonic Heroes 3. There you go. That's how you please the fan base.
Just, don't make it like, I mean, just make sure that Dimps doesn't get a hold of it, okay?
No, I agree, but it's just like, if there's one thing I've disliked that Sonic Team and even Dimps themselves have done with the franchise, it sounds like it is a pet peeve of mine, but it's true. I just don't like the transitioning from 2D to 3D. It just feels off to me, you know what I mean? And it's not only with Sonic, it's also with Mario too, you know? I don't want to say Mario, no. But it's just like, there's something like that I just don't like. It's just like, it feels like, you know, a game in my eyes should be fully fledged instead of trying to please both fan bases, you know what I mean? It should be it should just be a 3D game for the sake of being a 3D game, instead of doing two spectrums in 2D and 3D just to please both fan bases, you know what I mean? You could do it that way just by making one game that's full-fledged 3D, and one that, you know, pleases, like, the 2D originals based actually off of the Genesis games and not like Sonic 4, you know what I mean?
Right.
I really don't think Sonic 4 was that bad, to be all honesty. In all honesty.
I fell down. I probably shouldn't have lost my rings. And I think this is probably the part where Lyric is going to get resurrected. Which, surprisingly, the cartoon... Eggman's not the real villain in the cartoon. It's actually Lyric.
Oh, great. The snake dragon thing.
Like we haven't seen that before.
us in. Locked us in? I was saving you. You didn't need saving. Guys, can we put a pin in this for a second?
I heard that this game, as well as Shattered Crystal, was also written by the same people who wrote the last two Sonic games, well, the last three Sonic games, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, and Sonic Lost World. The guys who wrote Mad World and Happy Tree
I
Friends.
think maybe that's the problem with this game. You know what I mean? Just like what I was saying earlier about how it should have been its own thing. I feel like, in regards, if it was originally supposed to be a tie-in, I feel like it should have been written by the show's head writer instead of those two. You know what I mean? If it was supposed to be it's a tie-in, so you have the cast. Granted, they've been your cast for how many years? Sure, but if you really want to make it feel like it's an actual tie-in without just having the word tie-ins for the sake of it, the head writer, so it can feel actually more consistent with the story and the show.
Right. I wouldn't really be surprised if Lyric is actually an alien, considering wearing that armor.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Cliched.
What just happened? Well, let's see. Discovered an ancient.
I can tell you one thing about the banter. I like that it's a nice mixture of comedy and action, compared to like similar to what Nickelodeon has done with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Unlike Teen Titans Go. Like, I've seen a couple episodes of that show. I can tell you one thing. I've disliked that. Granted, it's not a full-fledged continuation of the early 2000s show. But I don't like that the first incarnation was a phenomenal show that felt in the same vein as the DC animations of that reign. But I don't like the fact that it's just full-on comedy for the sake of full-on comedy. It just feels off, you know what I mean?
Oh, you talking about the original 1987
No, I'm talking
show?
about the current show that's on Cartoon Network right now.
Oh,
No,
Sonic
Teen
Boom?
Titans Go.
Oh, Teen Titans Go. Oh, yeah,
It's alright.
sorry about that.
It's alright. Oh, great, more power-ups like we haven't seen this before in a Sonic game.
The friendship bracelets? Oh, hey, it's like the friendship ring in Knuckles Chaotix.
Why
Which was the only good thing for the Sega 32X.
Sadly, the only good thing about this 32X.
Yeah. Oh, cool, you can lasso enemies to bring them closer to you.
Oh, let me guess. How many
awesome.
Sonic fans has said go over here?
Oh, you mean like Scorpion? Get over here! Hey, it's cool that they're trying something like this, for a different type of mechanic.
Oh, speaking of which, I've been having my fill of Halo recently because I've been playing the Master Chief Collection.
How is
Very
it?
good. Like,
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, the only problem is with the matchmaking. Like, it's off. It's not working properly, but at the same time, I really think it's the servers because, let's face fact, this is week 1. This is launch week. Of course there's going to be problems with the servers. But at least I have a full-fledged package game, at least, that's working. To some degree, at least. But if there's one thing I gotta say, like, it's weird to see not only Halo 1 Anniversary, but also Halos 3 and 4, and even 2, running at 60 frames per second.
Oh, I know. Like, that has never happened before.
I can tell the difference between 30 and 60, but it's just remembering what they used to be to now what they are, thanks to the the more powerful hardware from the Xbox line. It just boggles my mind. Like, I'm used to 30 and 60 frames per second games. I can tell the difference, but it's just like I just said earlier. It's just wow. Not only that, but the new CGI cutscenes that Blur Studios did, holy crap, they look phenomenal.
with Halo 2 Anniversary, did they change some of the dialogue like they did with Halo Combat Evolved?
Oh, you mean like the terminals? Yeah, there's terminals in there because what they did with Halo 2 Anniversary, they did more than just the terminals. There's a new opening and a new ending for that particular game because apparently that game story is the kickoff to the main story of Halo 5. I gotta say, I'm really excited for it because if there's one thing I can tell you right now, my favorite in the Bungie trilogy is Halo 2 because you get to play a second protagonist by the name of the Arbiter. I love that it really brought it expanded the universe more, and you not only saw from the human side of the conflict, but also the Covenant side, the point of view, and their side of the conflict in regard to the war. I like that. I like to see games be more expansive of their universe and their lore. You know what I mean? I'm not saying 3 was a bad game. It was a phenomenal way to cap off Bungie's trilogy. And the only thing I can say about 4, phenomenal campaign, but lackluster multiplayer. And I gotta say, from the previews that I've been hearing about 5 with the multiplayer, which I cannot wait till the beta come out. I'm glad they learned a lesson from compared to Halo 4. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people were complaining that it has aim downside, it has sprints, but it's been confirmed that the sprint is akin to how the power-up was used in Reach. And ADS, they said not every weapon is going to be using ADS, which is aim down sight, or more commonly known as iron sights.
Right.
Basically, what they're doing with the multiplayer, like, unlike copying Call of Duty's, shtick, like they did with Halo 4, this time around they're focusing mainly on the esports type of crowd with their multiplayer. And from what I've seen during Halo Fest on Monday, so far it looks like it's working, and plus, it's at least at 60 frames per second, which I think is very impressive. But at the moment, they did say that it's not the final specs as of yet. I don't think they're gonna dumb down the specs, the frame rate, because I do think that'll be stupid. But I do see them not reaching 1080p. If they reach 1080p for both the campaign and multiplayer, I would be vastly impressed. I do expect it to be at 900p, and that's not. I don't see that big of a deal, to be honest. I don't get why even this generation has gotten worse with frame rate and graphics. I don't get it.
So, it looks like we managed to complete the prologue, and it looks like we're finally getting into the meat and potatoes of this game now, with what it's supposed to be. But I think since we've been over 40 minutes, this is a good place to stop. So, overall, it seemed like it has good promise, but I feel that there's some things that need to be polished out. It's not fully terrible. I haven't experienced anything game-breaking or anything like that yet, but from what I played, it's not all that bad. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, so what you're basically saying is that at the moment, from your first experience for the last 40... You said 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You're saying for the prologue, you're basically saying it's a mixed bag. It's all right. It's not great. It's not good. It's just like, meh. There's a lot of good ideas, but they're not fully implemented is what you're basically getting at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way too, dude. Like, I haven't played the game yet. I'm waiting for the demo to come out in December to really try it out hands on myself. I felt the same way too when I saw, countless, walkthroughs of the game. It felt that way too just by looking at it, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop here for the for this impressions video on Sonic Boom. I will have this uploaded to my YouTube channel, so that way you can all view it to your heart's content. And stay tuned. Coming up in just a few minutes, we are going to be setting things up for the 3DS, and we are going to be taking a look at Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. That was developed by Senzaru Games.
Oh.
So, Jeff, would you be interested in joining me for that one too? All right. Well, guys, sit tight, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
All right. Yep. See you then.